There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes from understanding too late. Not the loneliness of isolation, but the loneliness of clarity. When you finally see the path of destruction you've carved and realize you were the architect of your own ruin. I know that loneliness. It lives in the moment when the high wears off and you're left staring at yourself in a mirror that won't lie. It's the moment when you understand that every person you hurt, every promise you broke, every relationship you poisoned, those weren't collateral damage. That was the actual trajectory of your life. For years, I told myself a story about survival. That the crimes, the substances, the numbness, these were necessary. That I had no choice. That everyone around me was doing the same thing. So this was just how life worked in the spaces we occupied. Poverty had written the script, and I was just reading my lines. But that was a lie wrapped in a half-truth. The truth was, I did have choices. I made them, every single one. And the choices I made created a specific kind of death. Not the physical kind, though that was always lurking in the periphery, but something more insidious. A death of the spirit. A death of possibility. A death of the person I might have become if I'd chosen differently. Even once. The weight of that realization is immense. It's the weight of knowing that intelligence, potential, even basic human decency, these things don't matter if you don't use them. I had people tell me I was smart enough to get out, to be different, to choose something else. And I heard them, but I didn't listen. I chose the familiar destruction over the unfamiliar risk of becoming someone new. The substances were never really about getting high. That's what I told myself. But it wasn't true. The substances were about getting gone. They were about erasing the knowledge that I was wasting myself. They were about silencing the part of me that knew better. And for a while, it worked. For a while, I could be numb enough not to feel the weight. But the weight doesn't go away. It just gets heavier. Now, in this space of recovery, of trying to build something different, I understand something I didn't before. The weight isn't punishment. It's witness. It's the presence of everything I've done and everything I've neglected to do, all of it standing beside me, asking me to acknowledge it, to look at it, to let it change me. That's harder than the substances ever were, because substances offered a deal, feel nothing, and nothing can touch you. But recovery asks for something else. It asks you to feel everything, the shame, the grief, the regret, the possibility. It asks you to stand in front of the consequences of your choices and not look away. It asks you to become the kind of person who can face that and still choose to keep going. There's a spirituality to this that's unlike anything I've experienced before. Not the kind that offers easy answers or the comfort of absolution, but the kind that insists you're still here, still capable, still accountable. The kind that says, you created this wreckage, and now you get to decide what you build from it. The dangerous thing about knowing the past is that you can't unknow it. You can't unsee the faces of people you've hurt. You can't unfeel the weight of your own failures. But maybe that's not a danger. Maybe that's exactly what's necessary. Maybe the danger was never knowing and not caring. I spent years trying to manifest a life of freedom while being imprisoned in every way that matters. Spiritually imprisoned by shame and disconnection. Emotionally imprisoned by numbness and rage. Mentally imprisoned by the lie that I had no agency. Physically imprisoned by cycles that kept tightening. Intellectually imprisoned by refusing to think my way past the moment of immediate gratification. Breaking those imprisonments isn't something that happens all at once. It's not something a single decision can accomplish. It requires a kind of daily recommitment to being awake, being honest, being willing to feel the weight instead of running from it. Old keys don't unlock new doors. This is the hardest truth I've learned. The survival instincts that kept me alive in a brutal environment, the paranoia, the aggression, the willingness to do whatever it takes. Those same instincts kept me trapped once I was no longer in that environment. The mind that adapted to chaos is poorly equipped to build something meaningful. The defenses that protected me became the walls that imprisoned me. So, I'm learning new keys, Learning to be still when I want to run. Learning to trust when I've been betrayed. Learning to believe in possibility when evidence of my own failure is so overwhelming and immediate. Learning to see the weight not as punishment but as proof that I was alive, that I matter enough to have consequences, that my choices actually mean something. This isn't inspiration. This isn't the moment where everything becomes clear and easy. This is the moment where everything becomes real, and the real thing is harder than the delusion ever was. But there's something in that hardness that feels like truth. And truth, even when it crushes you, is better than the slow suffocation of lies.